Marinated grilled ribs, like you have little wooden mallets. This is a very simple recipe to marinate ribs, and I'm going to show you how to do that. I suggest removing them from the fridge first thing in the morning of your party so they can come to room temperature. Do not cook them out of the fridge. Never cook any meat out of the refrigerator. Take your ribs. They're room temperature, or should be before you cook them. And you're going to use our old favorite, salt and pepper. So you're going to liberally salt both sides. Very salty. So pepper and salt both sides. Then you're going to take a shallot. Nobody's going to see it. So you're just going to do some rustic. You can basically cut it down the center and then just cut rounds like this. Very easy. Now, I make these ribs and people flip out. And I'm going to tell you one of the ingredients. Hoisin. The other thing we're going to use is something called a kefir lime leaf. Controversial name. You can look it up why. Kefir limes are funny, bumpy limes. They're delicious, but it's one of the few plants in the world where we use both the leaves and the fruit for cooking. And it has an extraordinary, unbelievable aroma. So I'm going to go and get a kefir lime leaf from my hanging on for dear life kefir lime plant in the back. So this is a kefir lime leaf. I mean, it smells. Smell that. Seriously.
Oh, neat.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to kind of fold it into a random packet, and I'm just going to chop it like this. Beware the chiffonade. Okay. It doesn't really matter because nobody's going to see it. It's going to be grilled off. But when you cut it, it releases the incredible aroma. Take a plastic bag. Mop up as much salt and pepper that you dropped on the wax paper. And carefully insert the ribs into the bag. Then you're going to sprinkle half of your shallots on one side and half of your shallots onto the side. There you go, love. Sprinkle them away. Half of your kefir lime leaves on one side and half of your kefir lime leaves onto the side. Okay. Hoisin sauce, I didn't make it. Then you go like this. Okay, so it's smeared. And then you go like this. You want to make sure you don't see any of the, clearly see any pink. You want it to be all hoisined. Push the air out. This has a hole in it, so I'm being careful. And then you can put this in your fridge overnight, the night before your party. When you get up in the morning, take it out of the refrigerator because it has to come to room temperature and flip it. And then release the air again. This way, the sauce, it's not on one side the whole time. You have now marinated your ribs and you are either going straight to bed or you're going to have a glass of wine and watch the season finale of Botched or Housewives of New York. I use a propane grill. Some people think it's not grilling. Maybe they're right. It doesn't really bother me. I kill on that thing, so what do you want? If you have a charcoal grill, you should heat it up about 30 minutes before you want to cook your ribs. And don't forget, after you make the ribs, you might want to make something else. So make your fire the size that you need for the rest of your night. Ribs take about 30 minutes or so, so it should be a fire that can last for at least an hour after it's heated. Propane, turn it on to high, about 20 minutes, however long yours takes to heat up, before you want to cook. It's time to cook your ribs. And these are really messy, so you want to do everything possible over the grill. You're going to do these presentation side down, which is basically meat side down. That's the bone side. This is the meat side. Here we go. It's going to make a big noise. I'm going to close this and let it do its thing. The most important thing about grilling, the mistake that people make, is they fuss with it and they move it around and they go, oh, it's going to stick, it's going to stick. Well, don't touch it until it moves easily. That's the trick, okay? So for instance, if I touch this, It's totally stuck on the grill. It won't move. That means it's not time to move it. So you don't move it until it easily peels up. That means it's sealed and it's ready to go. That's how you do this. Okay, I'm going to check the ribs. Do they move? Not really. Oh, they moved. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick them up and turn them to the other diagonal so they get the famous cross hatching. After I flip them, I'm just going to repaint them with marinade. This is pretty messy, but there you have it. And what I'm going to wait for now is for the bones to become exposed. They'll shrink. The meat will shrink down and the bones will stick out a little bit, and then they're done. I have to wash my hands. So these are the ribs. See how easily they're moving on the grill? See that? No sticking at all. So I'm looking here to see everything's okay. We're still in business. I'm going to close it. The ribs are done, and the way I can tell is instinct, and also the fact that the bones are starting to come exposed, and when I touch it, it feels like this. Rare, medium, well done. And I've taken these off about 15 minutes before I want people to eat them. And I'm going to take them in and lightly tent them with tinfoil, and they will be perfect when my guests arrive. Because they rested for 15 minutes before your guest arrived, they're warm, but they're not nuclear because then they can't eat them. I've had complaints about the ribs being too hot. Basically, you don't want to serve it in a dirty dish, so you're just going to quickly wipe it down, and then you are simply going to insert a sharp knife into this dish, like this. And if you would like, you can put a little sprig parsley there, if you want. Ribs. I can't fibs. Them ribs is the nibs. Nibs meaning his nibs, like the old-fashioned expression. Do 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 do.